What's up guys, Kardak here, and today I'm here with another Digimon deck profile. Today we'll be going over a pure blue hybrid deck profile. So I know that most of the blue hybrid decks right now are running it with the red engine, as well with Ukomon. But with my build, I'm just running a pure blue one just because I am already running a red hybrid deck. And I don't feel like Ukomon here is absolutely necessary. It does help speed up the deck a lot and help increase consistency, but since Ukomon is just slapped into every deck nowadays, I feel like I'm going to be running a non-Ukomon based build just to help players out who don't want to just keep buying Ukomons for the decks. So yeah, let's get right into the deck profile. For the Digitamas, let's go right with level 4. So we're running 4 Digitamas, we're running the Wanyamons. If you are running the Ukomon engine, you can run extra Bukamon or something if you want, but for me, since we only have 8 targets, 4 will be fine. So next, for the level 3s, we are running the 4 Strabimon from BT-17. So this Strabimon on play lets you look at the top 3. You can grab a hybrid or a 10 warriors card, as well as a tamer with the inherit ability. And then for this card's inherit ability is whenever you attack, you can play a card with a inherit ability, a tamer card with inherit ability for 2 costs less from your hand. So this one is not as good as the red one for the reason where the red one, when it dies, it lets you play a tamer with inherit ability for free, where this one lets you play one on attack. So it's a little bit slower in that case. Next, we are going to be running 4 of the Strabimon from BT-7. This one lets you look at top 4 on play and grab a hybrid Susanomon or Koji. So this one only lets you grab 1 out of the 4. So this one's not as good in that case. But looking at top 4 is still nice, and the inherit ability lets you play a Koji for free when it dies. So we're running 4 of those. Next, we are running 4 Bokomons. This is where the Ukomon would have been, but I think Bokomon is pretty good as well. Looks at top 5, lets you grab Hybrid Spirit or a 10 Warriors, as well as a Tamer. And then on your turn, whenever one of your Tamers would Digivolve, you can get 2 memory back. So if he stays on the field, he's actually really good as well. But yeah, he's more on theme for that reason. Next, for the level 4s, we are running 4 of the Lobomon from BT-17. So this one works very similarly to the red engine. So first, it can Digivolve on top of a Tamer as a level 3, and then on evolution you can, if you have the AncientGarurumon in its source, you can Digivolve into an AncientGarurumon for 3 costs, and at a turn delete this card. And then on attack, you can draw 1 for its inherit ability. Next, we are running 4 of the new AncientGarurumon. So on attack, you can draw 1. And then also on attack, you can Digivolve into a Hybrid Spirit for 1 cost less. So what you're going to be doing is attack with this, Digivolve into the Lobomon. Lobomon then can let you warp into the AncientGarurumon. So pretty similar. And the inherit ability also lets you draw 1. So keep in mind, their draw 1s only activate when you have 7 or less. So if you have more than 7 cards, you won't be able to get a draw 1. Which does interfere with some of the plays. Sometimes you want to gain cards from a hand in order to proc some effects. So keep in mind your hand count if you don't have another way to increase your hand count. So next, for the other level 4s, we're running 2 of the AncientGarurumon from BT-7. So this one, we're running this mainly for the name because we don't really have another AncientGarurumon to run. But if you're planning to get some cheap shot in, he's pretty good for that as well. So on evolution, if you have a hybrid or Koji in its source, you can get jamming for a turn. In combo with the BT-7 Koji, you're unblockable, so that's pretty good. And we're also running 2 of the Lobomon from BT-4. Again, this is just here for the Lobomon name, but you can also use him as last hits, so he's not bad as well. Next, we're running 2 of the Beowulfmon. This one lets you warp on top of your Koji by placing a Lobomon and a AncientGarurumon underneath it and paying 3 costs. And then the evolution ability is on evolution, you can return a hybrid spirit trait card to your hand, and then one of your opponent's Digimon cannot suspend. So it's a stun for 1 turn, which is really strong. And on attack for the inherent ability, you can, if you have hybrid or time resistance traits, you can return one of your opponent's level 4 or lower Digimon to their hand. So this will help you add cards back to your opponent's hand, which help you proc some abilities, which is pretty nice. We're also running one Jet Sylphimon. So on evolution, if you're Digimon on top of a card with a tamer in its source, you can reduce the cost by 2, so it'll be a 1 cost to evolve. And then if you Digimon on top of a card with hybrid traits, you can recover 1. So this card is still limited to 1, that's why we're only running 1. But the card is pretty good. It can Digivolve on top of your new Lobomon and AncientGarurumon, so we're running that for that reason. And the recovery is just nice because this deck does grind out your opponent. This isn't one of those OTK decks. You slowly chip away your opponent's security, and in order to do that, you're going to need to stall a bit, and so recovering and locking will help you stall. So next, we are also running one of the Beowulf from BT-17. So this one is also a card that can reduce the evolution cost as long as the Digimon you're evolving into has a tamer as a source. So it's also another 1 cost to evolve. And then on attack, you can return a hybrid spirit back to your hand from this card's source to balance a level 4 or lower Digimon back to hand. So mainly we're running this just because it is another 1 cost to evolve card. If you don't want to run this, you can run another Beowulfmon from BT-17 if you want, but I think having this as an option is pretty nice. Obviously, if this card is unrestricted, we're going to be running at least like 2 or 3 of these. So yeah, right now we're just working what we have, and hopefully by BT-18 we'll have another Beowulfmon to use. Alright, now let's move on to level 6s. So we are running 4 of the AncientGarurumon from BT-17. So this is the new boss monster for the deck. On play on evolution, you can return one of your opponent's Digimon with the lowest level to your hand. And then when a card adds, second effect is whenever a card effect adds cards to you or your opponent's hand, you can bounce the top card of your opponent's security stack to the hand. And on deletion, you can return 1 tamer and 1 Digimon with hybrid trait from the trash to your hand, and then you can play a tamer from your hand without paying its cost. So the Digicross is for the Lobomon and the AncientGarurumon, and it reduces 3 for each. So you'll be able to hardcast it for 6. And obviously you're going to be using it in conjunction with the Ancient Protectors, so it's a further 4 cost reduction. So you'll be able to play this for 2 costs, which is really, really strong. So let's talk about the ability to bounce security back to the top. So playing this on the board, hardcasting this is really good because you'll be able to get rid of opponent's Digimon and you'll be able to bounce a card back to the stack. So this card's ability to bounce up your opponent's security to the hand whenever a card is added to either your opponent's hand is really strong. So this is just the main win con for the deck now. You just keep stalling your opponent by proccing this card's effective return. You can also use this to just chip away your opponent's HP if you want. Let's just say HP, I mean security. But yeah, it's a strong card. That is the only level 6 we're running though, but there are builds that run the Venusmon as well. So if you want to cut out these, trim them fat a little bit, you can run these as Venusmons. But in my opinion, that will definitely decrease the consistency just because you'll have less targets to Digicross these guys. But if you want to run Venusmons, they're good as well just because it does slow down your opponent. The last card, we're running 1 of the Impel Paladin mode. So we're running 1 of this just as a matchup for purple decks. And yeah, we're running that. You see this card splash in a lot of green and blue decks now, and splashing 1 or 2 is not bad. Next, we're running 4 of the BT-7 Koji. So the main ability is not really relevant in this deck just because we're not running AncientGarurumon, but the inheritability is very relevant. So whenever a card adds a card to your hand, effect adds a card to your hand, you can gain 1 memory, and then this Digimon cannot be blocked. So this helps you bypass the Magnemon decks, just because you'll be able to attack without having a really annoying blocker on the board ruining your day. So that's really good. And we are also running 4 of the Koji from BT-17. So this one, whenever a card adds cards to your hand, you can gain 1 memory, and then this card gets jamming. So they're both really strong tamers. This one might get buffed when we get a new AncientGarurumon, but for now, the inheritability is solid. So next we are running 3 of the Ancient Protectors. So if you have a Tamer or Digimon with hybrid trait, you can ignore this card's requirements. And then the main ability is you can return 1 Digimon with hybrid or 10 spirits, 10 warriors from your trash to your hand, and then you can play a 10 warriors or a Tamer card, inheritability for a cost reduced by 4. So if you're using this to play a Tamer, that's going to be free. And if you're going to be playing a AncientGarurumon, if you have both KendoGarurumon and Lobomon, it'll be for 2 costs. So really strong card. And then for this card's security effect, it's you can play a Tamer card with inheritability from your hand or trash without paying its cost. So the inheritability is really good as well. And then you can add this card to your hand, so you get your cake and you can eat it too. It's just a really solid card. And now let's move on to the other options. So we're running 3 Hammer Spark. So the reason we're running Hammer Spark is because this card will help you decrease your hand count. So if you have 8 cards in your hand, you can just use this for extra memory, and then you'll be back down to 7, which will help you proc your KendoGarurumon and your Lobomon's inheritabilities. But also, since you're drawing so much in this deck, having a card that just gives you extra memory is really nice. And so we're running these. These are also extra memory bombs. So I've ruined a few people's days when they've crashed into this. So yeah, pretty good. And we're also running 2 of the blue memory boosts. This just helps you search for missing combo pieces, and it can also give you extra memory when you need it. So running 2 memory boosts, you don't really need the trainings in this deck, just because most of the time you'll be devolving on harder tamers. So this will be the better option for that. And last but not least, we're running 1 Ice Wall. So this is here for the stall. Again, this deck requires you to stall your opponent and just slowly ground down your opponent's security. And so, yeah, it's a pretty strong option card still. So that's pretty much it for this deck profile. Hope you guys enjoyed it. You know, if you guys want to run a pure blue hybrid, I guess the exception is the BT-17. If you really think this one is not as necessary in this deck, you can definitely run another Beowulfmon, but I think the recovery is just really nice. But yeah, if you don't want to run a red-blue hybrid engine, then this is sort of the skeleton for the deck that you will probably use. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this deck, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you guys have any other questions, feel free to leave a comment down below. But this is Kartaku, and I'll see you guys next time.